Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to go back in time about 1,000 years to the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. This was the center of the Islamic Golden Age, when science, philosophy, and art flourished. Imagine yourself floating down the Tigris River in a small boat. On your left is the palace of Harun al-Rashid, the famous caliph who hosted magnificent feasts and welcomed scholars from all over the known world. Across the river, you can see the bustling marketplace where merchants from India, Africa, and China traded exotic goods. And above it all, the call to prayer echoes from the minarets of the great mosque of Baghdad. You make your way through the maze-like streets until you come to an unexpected oasis, a beautiful garden with flowing fountains and sparkling pools surrounded by high walls. At the far end, you can hear the murmur of voices and the rustle of papers. You have reached Beit al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom. It might look like a quiet library today, but let me tell you, this place is buzzing with activity. Let's take a closer look inside. What you'll notice first is that this isn't your typical library. Here, the books aren't neatly stacked on shelves. They're piled everywhere, on tables, chairs, even the floor. The reason is simple. There are so many books here that there isn't enough room to store them. That's because the House of Wisdom wasn't just a library. It was also a research center, a translation workshop, and a school, all in one. Scholars came here from all over the Islamic world to study, write, and translate texts on a wide range of subjects, from astronomy to medicine. It was truly a place where knowledge was valued above all else. To understand how the House of Wisdom worked, let's start with the translations. You see, during the Islamic Golden Age, Muslim scholars were eager to learn about the knowledge of other cultures, especially Greek philosophy and Indian mathematics. The problem was that most scholars only knew Arabic, while most ancient texts were written in Greek or Latin. So, what did they do? They hired translators, of course. And not just any translators, mind you, but some of the brightest minds in the Islamic world. These men and women would meet in the House of Wisdom and work together to translate texts from one language to another. This was no easy task, especially since many concepts in Greek or Persian had no equivalent in Arabic. For example, the Greeks had developed the concept of zero, but the Arabs didn't have a word for it. So the translators had to come up with a new term and symbol to represent this abstract idea that SY Arabic numerals and the concept of zero eventually spread throughout the Islamic world and eventually to Europe. But the translations weren't limited to texts on science and philosophy. Muslim scholars also translated works on poetry, literature, and history. In fact, many of the classic works of Greek literature, including the Iliad and Odyssey, were first preserved in Arabic. So the House of Wisdom played a crucial role in preserving ancient texts and making them accessible to a wider audience. Now let's talk about the original research being done at the House of Wisdom. As you walk through the halls and gardens, you'll come across scholars hard at work on their latest projects. Some of them are astronomers, using instruments to measure the stars and planets and record their movements. Others are mathematicians, studying the works of Greek masters like Euclid and Pythagoras. And then there are the doctors, experimenting with new treatments and remedies in the on-site medical clinic. Thanks to the efforts of these researchers, many scientific and mathematical concepts were further developed during the Islamic Golden Age. For example, Muslim astronomers made significant advances in our understanding of the solar system, while Muslim mathematicians developed new methods for calculating the area and volume of complex shapes. In addition to all this, the House of Wisdom was also a school where young scholars could receive instruction in various fields of study. The curriculum was broad and interdisciplinary, covering everything from grammar to astronomy. Students came from all over the Islamic world to study here, and many of them went on to become leading scholars in their own right. So now you might be wondering, how did this incredible institution come to be? Well, the story goes back to the early days of Islam, when the Prophet Muhammad died in 632 CE. His followers were a small minority in the Arabian Peninsula, but within a century they had conquered vast territories from Spain to India. As the Muslim armies spread across the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Europe, they encountered different cultures and ways of life, including the rich intellectual traditions of Greece, Persia, and India. Many Muslims began to see the value of preserving and building on the knowledge of other civilizations, and this led to the establishment of the first centers of learning in Muslim society. One of the earliest and most important of these was the House of Wisdom in Damascus, founded in the 750s by the Abbasid Caliphate. It served as a library, a mosque, and a palace, all in one, and became a center for translating Greek and Persian texts. However, the golden age of Muslim scholarship is generally considered to have taken place during the reign of the Abbasid Caliphate, which lasted from 750 to 1258 CE, under the patronage of caliphs like Harun al-Rashid and Alman ibn Rashid. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad became the most renowned center of learning in the Islamic world. It attracted scholars from all over the empire and beyond, and it played a crucial role in preserving and transmitting ancient texts. However, as the Abbasid Caliphate weakened in the 9th and 10th centuries, the House of Wisdom also suffered. By the 11th century, it had been all but abandoned. Nevertheless, similar institutions continued to flourish in other parts of the Islamic world, such as in Cordoba, Spain, and Cairo, Egypt. The legacy of the House of Wisdom lives on in these institutions and in the countless works of Muslim scholars that continue to shape our understanding of the world. If you want to learn more about the House of Wisdom, I highly recommend checking out the additional resources. You'll find links to articles, videos, and books that will help you explore this fascinating topic further. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What surprised you the most about the House of Wisdom? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support means the world to me and helps me keep bringing these videos to life. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions. Who knows where your journey of discovery might lead? The year is 833 AD, and midnight has fallen across the great city of Baghdad. Most of the city is asleep, silent under a blanket of stars, but tucked away on the eastern edge of the city, hidden amongst merchant houses and a bustling marketplace, lies a courtyard of quiet. Here, nestled between high walls adorned with intricate geometric designs, sits a house of wisdom. Within its shaded halls work hundreds of scribes, translating and copying manuscripts from across the known world. Their quiet work is illuminated only by small oil lamps suspended from hooks in the ceiling. Together, they are engaged in a monumental task, collecting and preserving the sum of human knowledge. In the center of the courtyard stands a small but ornate fountain, its water spilling from the mouth of a carved lion into a basin below. Though the flow of water is gentle, its sound carries clearly through the stillness, a constant murmur like a lullaby. As the moon climbs higher in the night sky, a group of astronomers emerge from the main hall, carrying their instruments with them onto the flat roof of the building. One of them, an older man with twinkling eyes, adjusts a brass astrolabe in preparation for the night's observations. As he does, he calls out to the younger men, giving instructions in a booming voice that cuts through the desert air. The other astronomers are scattered around the roof, some lying flat on their stomachs, peering through telescopes towards the south, where the Milky Way stretches across the horizon. Others stand with their arms spread wide, palms upturned, tracing constellations that shift above them. This house was built by order of Abbasid Caliph Harun al-Rashid, the man credited with establishing the world's first true library over a century ago. Since then, each new caliph has added to the collection, until now, 8 caliphs later. The house contains hundreds of thousands of texts written in Arabic, Greek, Persian, Hebrew, and Syriac. Today, its collection includes scientific and philosophical works, mathematical tables, medical textbooks, literary classics, and poetry. Its greatest treasure, however, is a complete set of Ptolemy's Almagest, the ancient Greek astronomer's monumental work on astronomy. The scribes inside the house are recreating this ancient book by hand, copying its pages into both Arabic and Persian. This will ensure that future scholars will have access to its contents, no matter what language they speak. In another part of the house, a team of translators work in a hushed voice, sitting at a table piled high with open books. Before them sits a large sheet of parchment, unrolled and secured at either end with wooden brackets. One of the men dips his quill into an ink bottle, then begins to write in elegant looping letters. His colleagues watch over his shoulder, ready to stop him should he come across a word he cannot translate or a phrase whose meaning is unclear. The translator reads aloud in a strong, clear voice. The words are Greek, but the sentences that form are understood by all. In front of him sits a glossary of sorts, filled with definitions and rough translations of difficult words. Whenever he comes across a particularly troublesome passage, he pauses, turns to his companions, and asks for their thoughts. They confer in hushed tones before deciding on a suitable translation. Once satisfied, the translator continues reading aloud. adding to the growing list of bridges that connect the ideas of East and West. Within the house, the work never ends. New books arrive from across the empire, carried by couriers on the backs of laden camels. Others are sent out, making the journey to distant cities, eventually finding their way to scholars who may need them. Some of the books will travel to Constantinople, where Byzantine Emperor Michael III has requested copies of Euclid's Elements and Ptolemy's Almagest. Others will make their way to the west, crossing the sea to the Spanish city of Toledo, where the Muslim lord Al-Hakam II has been gathering books in his own great library. Still, others will stay here in Baghdad, shelved and locked away, patiently waiting for the day when someone will need them. One such book sits on a shelf, bound in red leather and sealed with wax. Inside, written in delicate script, are the collected works of the Greek philosopher Aristotle. Another holds the complete works of the Indian mathematician Brahmagupta. On a lower shelf, almost hidden in the shadows, rests a dusty volume containing the Almagest in Greek, its yellowed pages filled with diagrams and calculations. These books represent only a fraction of the total collection, a snapshot of a single moment in time. Yet they hold within them the threads of 1,000 stories. Stories of scholars and sages, inventors and adventurers, emperors and artisans. In the years to come, some of these books will burn, their pages scattered by the winds of war. Others will survive, their words whispered from scholar to student in hushed tones. Still, others will be lost, forgotten in the sands of time. But tonight they live here, safe beneath the watchful eyes of the scribes. Each book has its own tale to tell, its own journey to the house of wisdom. Some were found in dusty attics, passed down through generations of scholars. Others were brought as gifts by visiting dignitaries, ambassadors from distant courts, bearing precious texts as tokens of goodwill. Still, others were purchased, their prices haggled over in the bazaars of Baghdad. But once inside the house, no distinction is made. Every book is treated with the same reverence, every page scrutinized and copied with the utmost care. For the people of Baghdad, the House of Wisdom is more than just a library. It is a symbol of the city's greatness, a monument to human achievement. At night, its silhouette is a familiar sight against the star-dusted sky, a beacon of knowledge in a sea of darkness. Within its walls, cultures meet and mingle, languages intertwine, and ideas are born. It is here that Greek philosophy is rediscovered, studied and debated. Indian numerals are introduced, studied and refined. Works of classical Arabic literature are written, read, and treasured. At night, the house is alive with activity. Scribes scurry about, their lamps casting flickering shadows on the walls. Astronomers gather in the courtyard, comparing their findings and arguing over theories. Philosophers engage in lively debates, their voices echoing through the halls. Yet, amidst all this activity, there is a sense of calm, a feeling of shared purpose that binds everyone together. For here, in the House of Wisdom, all are united by their love of learning, their thirst for knowledge, their desire to understand the world around them. And so the night wears on. The scribes copy and translate. The astronomers observe and calculate. The philosophers discuss and debate. And the fountain in the courtyard continues its endless song, a constant reminder of the life that flows through these ancient walls. As the first rays of dawn touch the horizon, the activities of the night draw to a close. Scribes gather their tools. Astronomers pack away their instruments. Philosophers rise from their seats. There is a sense of satisfaction in the air, a feeling of work well done. The books, now safe for another night, are returned to their shelves, their pages filled with the wisdom of ages past. The courtyard, once again bathed in the soft light of dawn, seems almost empty after the flurry of activity that filled it but a few moments before. Yet there is a lingering energy here, a sense of purpose that permeates the very stones of the building. For even in the quietest moments, the House of Wisdom is a place of discovery, a sanctuary for scholars, a testament to the enduring power of human curiosity. And as the sun rises higher in the sky, bathing Baghdad in its golden light, the people of the city stir to life, unaware of the treasures that lie hidden within those silent walls. The work of the house never ceases. Even as the sun climbs higher and the city awakens, new books arrive, carried on the winds of the Silk Road and the spice trade. With each passing day, the collection grows, carrying with it the seeds of new ideas, the echoes of voices from across the world. Here, in the heart of Baghdad, the night is filled with whispers, not the whispers of gossip or idle chatter, but the soft murmur of pens scratching across parchment, the rustle of turning pages, the quiet hum of voices discussing, debating, translating. It is a symphony of knowledge, a harmony of minds seeking understanding in the quiet hours before dawn breaks. And so the cycle continues, day after day, night after night. The House of Wisdom stands as a testament to the human spirit's insatiable thirst for knowledge. Now see if you can answer these questions based on the poem. Question number 1. What time of night does the poem take place? Question number 2. What instrument do the astronomers use to measure the stars? Question number 3. What language is the poem written in? Question no. 4. What is the name of the collection of books being created in the House of Wisdom? Question no. 5. How do the people of Baghdad feel about the House of Wisdom?